Here's a look at our lineup here on The Now, and it's a problem that keeps growing. Kids ending up in foster care because of the opioid crisis, how Congress is stepping in to help. And we hear a lot about vaccines with the measles outbreak, even for adults, but there are other shots that doctors say you should get that you may not realize. And you will meet a couple of young women who have a unique advantage at this year's Scripps Spelling Bee. They're sisters, and they're not alone.
Isolated severe storms, and I think heavy rainfall and flooding becomes a concern as we go through the evening hours here. All shaded in yellow. That's your thunderstorm watch until 8 o'clock. Indianapolis technically not included as you get to Hamilton County, Boone County, over toward Madison, and then also Henry North. That's included. There's your thunderstorm warning. Warren and Fountain counties. Strong thunderstorm capable of 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail moving through the county now. There's the big picture, just like last night. Not much happening, nothing happening. South of Interstate 70, the thunderstorms sitting to the north, and they continue to move along a line from west to east. As we zoom in closer, hail, Veedersburg, Covington, Williamsport, and Attica, heavy rainfall as well. This races to the east at about 40 miles per hour. You see the rain continue on the line from Rossville to Kokomo, and that may produce, before it's all done, 2 to 3 inches of rain tonight. Temperatures in the 70s where we have the heavier rainfall to almost 90 in Bedford through the evening hours. Scattered thunderstorms continue, quite numerous north of Indianapolis.
Thank you, Kevin. And tonight, the town of Pendleton is in the process of cleaning up after an EF2 tornado caused a lot of destruction in that area of Madison County Monday night. Now, as you can see in this video, the tornado knocked down trees, power lines, and caused extensive damage to homes. No deaths have been reported from Monday evening storms, which have left most of the residents of Pendleton without power, and many of them unable to even get to their homes.
And I thought, wow, I'm not sure if I'm going to have a house when I gets over with.
This is a whole nother level than what I've experienced before. Just feel sorry for people, really. You know, a lot of damage, a lot of destruction. I mean, going without power, groceries are probably going bad.
With several people still without power, the Madison County Emergency Management Agency is reminding people that the Red Cross shelter is still open at Pendleton Heights High School for air conditioning, charging phones, and getting water. And it's hard enough to have to clean up after a devastating tornado and storm like Pendleton received. And many people will reach out to help you out of the goodness of their hearts, but some have ulterior motives. Working for you, Call 6 Investigates Rafael Sanchez with what you need to be aware of so you don't get ripped off.
The damage here in Pendleton is quite extensive, so let's talk about your consumer protection. Of course, this morning you may have to file an insurance claim depending on the level of damage to your property. Go ahead and do that. At the same time, make sure to take pictures and video of the damage as proof. It never hurts to have it as part of your file. Then, of course, contractors may come to your door asking to make some repairs. There's nothing wrong with that. But first, take some estimates, and any job over $150 per state law, that contract must be in writing. And then please do not pay for anything up front. Pay in installments. As the work gets done, as those repairs are made, pay in installments, piece by piece. Rafael Sanchez, RTV6.
Thanks, Raf. And we are always here for you whenever severe weather strikes. Follow real-time updates from Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory and our Storm Team 6 crew. Plus, you can download the Storm Shield app, which will alert you to warnings and watches.
The cleanup is underway after a deadly tornado hit near Dayton, Ohio. The twister tearing through the town of Salina overnight, and you can just see the damage here. It is extensive. Homes and apartments have been destroyed, and some people are now left just digging through the rubble.
It's like in the distance, the train coming, and I jumped out of bed, put my shoes on, ran to the hallway. I could hear things banging against the apartment, and it was over quick. It was quick.
Tens of thousands of people were left in the dark as a result of that storm. Now, every county in Oklahoma remains under a state of emergency. This comes as flooding continues to cause problems after severe storms tore through the state. What you're looking at right here is video of the River Spirit Casino in Tulsa, and you can see the water has flooded part of the property, including the pool and a bar. All right, let's turn to the Now News feed. The Supreme Court will not touch a lower court ruling that lets some transgender students use bathrooms that match their gender identity. This is a ruling in favor of a Pennsylvania school district policy. There were some students that had challenged the policy, saying it violates their privacy rights. New diabetes cases among U.S. adults are going down. However, obesity cases continue to climb. Experts aren't really sure why that is happening, but new data out today found that the number of diabetes cases fell from around 1.7 million in 2009 to 1.3 million in 2017. Amazon is taking books off of its site that make unscientific claims about cures of autism and other illnesses. Now, these books claim that homemade bleach can cure conditions from malaria to childhood autism. The FDA said digesting bleach has zero health benefits and obviously could be very dangerous. Today, a first in trying to hold pharmaceutical companies accountable for the opioid crisis. A trial is starting in Oklahoma where the state is suing Johnson & Johnson. The state claims the company is responsible for billions in damages for the way that it marketed opioids and allegedly misrepresented how addictive they are. Now, other companies that make opioids, they settled out of court, but this case, it could set the tone for how hundreds of other lawsuits play out. The number of children in foster care because of the opioid crisis continues to grow, but it's not just their parents who are addicted. They are being addicted, born addicted too.
They suffer with challenges in focusing, with reading, with learning skills, with mood swings. You know, it really affects the whole child.
That foster father has stepped in to help, and we're going to talk about the action from Congress that he thinks will have an impact too.
5:39, welcome back to the Now Indy. Want to keep you updated on two different thunderstorm warnings. Warren and Fountain County, that until the top of the hour. Damaging wind and large hail potential. Then just issued in Howard County until 6:15. A thunderstorm warning for the eastern two-thirds. Taylor, Greentown, Kokomo itself would be included. Here's the radar. There's the strong storm just clearing Williamsport and Attica. Vedersburg next. It will move between Lafayette and Crawfordsville. Then we've got a situation here where the heavy rain just continues, so that will become a concern as well as the strong wind.
Thanks, Kevin. New details are emerging about Indianapolis's plan to convert more than 8 miles of railroad tracks into the Nickel Plate Trail, connecting the city with Fishers and Noblesville and Hamilton County. Indy has submitted a grant proposal to the state of Indiana detailing its exact plans. About half of the planned trail is expected to cost a total of $5.4 million, with the grant footing about 65% of that. That part of the trail is supposed to begin construction in 2021. It will connect 62nd Street to 96th Street. Construction for the rest of the trail from the Indiana State Fairgrounds to 62nd is expected to start in 2022. Eventually, the Nickel Plate Trail will go from the State Fairgrounds all the way north to downtown Noblesville.
A growing number of children are in foster care because of a parent's opioid addiction. Corey Rangel shows us who's stepping in to help.
John DeGarmo keeps busy as a father to 6 children. He's also been a foster parent to dozens of other children, which brought the impact of the opioid crisis right into his home. Several of his foster kids were born addicted, including 3 of his adopted children.
They suffer with challenges in focusing, with reading, with learning skills, with mood swings. You know, it really affects the whole child.
Anita is another foster parent dealing with the after effects that opioids have on children in the foster care system.
My oldest came with a lot of issues. He slept on the floor for the longest time. Would not sleep in a bed, no matter what I tried.
According to the latest figures, 1 in 3 children now enter foster care because of their parents' drug abuse. The number of children in foster care has jumped for the 5th consecutive year.
The need for foster families is great.
Fueled by the opioid epidemic, foster care advocates across the country say there's not enough foster parents.
We're a system that's overwhelmed anyway, and then with the opioid epidemic, we're becoming even more overwhelmed.
The problem is such an issue, it got the attention of Congress. Lawmakers passed a new federal law that prioritizes keeping families together by putting more money towards drug abuse treatment and and mental health counseling for struggling parents. John says it's needed help.
That the parents don't know how to handle their own addictions. And as a result, they're caring more for themselves. They're focused more on their own struggles with the drugs, and the children are being neglected.
The new law will allow states to begin using federal funds starting in October. In Washington, D.C., I'm Corey Rangel reporting.
Corey, thank you. Let's get back to our lineup. And next, with the measles outbreak, we're taking a look at other vaccines that adults might need.
RTV6 is working for you.
As doctors around the country deal with the measles outbreak, a lot of parents are making sure their kids have the proper vaccines. But what about parents themselves or just adults in general? The CDC recommends adults get multiple vaccines for a variety of things, from tetanus to cervical cancer. Now, most people aren't aware of this, and it can be difficult for adults to get this information since they just don't go to a doctor's office as often as children do. Now, measles, of course, a huge concern right now. And if you received your 2 measles shots as a kid, you are good to go. But if you got the shot before 1968, you should talk to your doctor about just how effective it was. Now, shingles usually hits older adults. It is a painful rash that can be spread between people. A new, more effective vaccine was just approved 2 years ago, and it comes in 2 doses. It is important to know there is a shortage right now, but experts recommend that you try your best to get that shot. And tetanus, it's usually spread through cuts or wounds, and children are supposed to get a series of 5 vaccines for it. Adults, they need the booster every 10 years. The CDC says it is okay if you're 1 or 2 years late on that. Now, of course, other situations will also call for additional shots, like if you get pregnant or if you plan to travel to certain countries. Now, traveling can bring a lot of headaches with it. Damaged luggage, that can be a huge part of that. Annie Taylor's here with what you can do to prevent it.
Chris, Consumer Reports is giving advice for protecting our bags from damage and possible thieves. Now, plastic wrapping your bag sounds a little ridiculous, right? But experts say it's a legit way to protect your cargo. In fact, there are companies who wrap luggage with plastic to protect it from theft, accidental opening, also weather like rain or snow, and they'll offer luggage tracking for free. Then there's luggage shipping. Now, we've told you about this option before. You ship your bag to your destination before you go. It can cost about the same as checking a bag, and there's less of a chance for wear and tear.
You book a trip on Lugless.com, similar to how you book an airline ticket. You print out your shipping labels from our website and pack as you normally would.
Now, the luggage is then delivered to where you're staying. With shipping, you don't necessarily have to do it through a company. You can do it yourself and use FedEx. You also have the option to track with that. Now, if you're really worried about someone getting into your bag, you should really invest into a lock. In fact, it's suggested for everyone to use bag locks, especially the TSA approved ones. Now, that way TSA can still inspect the bag if they need to, and no one else can get into it.
Thanks, Annie. The museum at Grissom Air Reserve Base in Miami County is trying to raise $300,000 for a building to protect and display one of the few surviving Cold War-era B-58 Hustler bombers. Now, the Kokomo Tribune reports that Grissom Air Museum leaders are planning an exhibit space resembling one of the huts that housed the bombers when they were stationed at the Indiana base in the 1960s. The B-58 was the U.S. Air Force's first operational supersonic bomber.
All right, let's talk about our changing weather situation here. We've got our severe thunderstorm watch outlined in yellow. That's until 8 o'clock tonight. Then thunderstorm warnings, a new one just issued there, between Crawfordsville and Lafayette, crossing 231. Notice that's moving in a little different direction here. We may actually see then these storms converge, kind of a couple different lines there, as the southern edge of this comes up to the northeast. Torrential rainfall rates, I can't stress that enough. Some spots have already had 2 inches of rain this evening, with an additional 1 to 2 inches to go, especially from Clinton County into Howard County. There's the broader view. Most of us not having the storms. Where the storms are located, they are intense. And then moving between Crawfordsville and Lafayette, and then kind of training, moving along the same line from Rossville, northern portions of Clinton County on into Howard County. Temperatures 66 in Lafayette, obviously rain cooled, 72 in Peru. Temperature nearly 90 to the south. Warm, muggy conditions. The same firing mechanism, the boundary between the 2 air masses, will be around tomorrow and Thursday, which means more thunderstorms around. Thunderstorms tonight, especially north of Indianapolis. Then during the day tomorrow, we'll have more thunderstorms around. Those bells that you hear each time they go off, they're alerting me to a new warning or advisory. In some cases now we're getting more in the way of flooding information. As you look at this during the overnight hours, showers and thunderstorms slide to the south and east, and into the afternoon hours tomorrow, more thunderstorms develop during the heat of the day.
Let's start the news feed. More concerns surrounding e-cigarettes. There's a new study that says the chemicals in e-cig flavors may pose risks. Stanford University researchers found that vaping and some flavors could increase the risk of heart disease even without nicotine. People over the age of 18, they don't seem to be using Facebook as much anymore. Digital research firm eMarketer says that gaming is a big reason for the drop. Many younger users just prefer gaming with friends over being on the social network. This is the picture of the day. One lucky driver in Germany, just take a look at this. That is a pigeon saving a driver from a speeding ticket. The bird actually photobombed a traffic camera right at the exact moment that it snapped a picture covering that driver's face, and police say the bird saved the driver from a $117 ticket because they can't figure out who this guy is. Well, groups around the country are already starting to register voters before the 2020 election, and some of them, they're skipping some of the more traditional routes of door knocking, library events. They're getting pretty creative. This month, Jolt Initiative started showing up at quinceañeras. Yeah, they're huge parties in the Latino community that families throw for girls on their 15th birthday. Texas in particular hosts about 50,000 every year, so you multiply that number by the amount of guests at them. Well, you got a large number of potential voters, making it perfect for groups to register a lot of people at once.
We think that the only way that we're going to be able to tap into this community is if we make it culturally acceptable and culturally enticing to be a part of the process and the politics in America.
Right now, the initiative is only happening in Texas. Girls who sign up to have Jolt Initiative at their party, they end up getting prizes. Now, the next time you, or let's face it, one of your kids go to an Ariana Grande concert, she may be singing the song Thank You Vote. Yeah, a nonprofit group called Headcount is taking advantage of the huge crowds at the pop star's concert to find young people who haven't registered to vote just yet. Now, Headcount, they've also been at other big concerts in the past, like Jay-Z, Fish, and the Dixie Chicks, for example. Now, when you're at the drugstore picking up an over-the-counter medicine, you might notice that the price of infant or children's drugs, they're more expensive than the adult version. Annie Taylor taking a look at what you need to know.
With a quick search online, you'll see a noticeable price difference on over-the-counter medicines like Tylenol when it comes to infant, children, and adult versions for the same item. Regular Tylenol is $4.99 a bottle. Children's $5.99 for 4 ounces, but a bottle of infant Tylenol that's only 2 ounces is $8.79. So that got us wondering, why such a price difference?
When you start to add additional items to a packaged product for a consumer, you start to see price differences. There's no question about that.
We're talking about added products like syringes and plastic measuring cups to help dispense the medicine. Lisa Gill with Consumer Reports also says when it comes to Tylenol,
that acetaminophen that's in the Tylenol product and all the store brand products is literally the exact same drug.
We reached out to Johnson & Johnson, the makers of Tylenol, to find out how it determines pricing, but we haven't heard back. Now, we should note that they aren't the only name brand that have wide price differences. And if you're a brand loyalist, it can be hard breaking away, but Lisa says it's worth it.
Believe it or not, the best deal is typically not Tylenol. It's going to be a generic, the generic version, the store brand, the Walmart store brand, the Target store brand, the CVS or Walgreens store brand. Those store brands are typically almost half the price.
We looked into the generic brand for at least the adult version of Tylenol, $3.49. So maybe not half the cost, but if you like to save, it's always an option. I'm Annie Taylor reporting.
Annie, thank you. Let's get back to our lineup. And Spelling Smarts runs in the family for 2 girls competing in this year's Scripps National Spelling Bee.
Yeah, she definitely helps me to stay calm and composed.
The other ways these sisters have been preparing together and why their family isn't alone. Next here on The Now.